Thank you for joining us tonight. I recognize it's the middle of midterms week, so I applaud you all for coming. If you're a current student, just raise your hand. I'm just curious to see who's joining us as a current student. Wow, okay. You all get an A plus tonight for, there's no grade for this, but thank you for joining. And is there any prospective students who are joining us? Hi, welcome. So we are excited to have you all here for our sixth session of the workshop series, Workshops in Sustainability Career Paths and Curriculum. In this workshop series, you will hear from our alumni, share their insights on the courses that have helped them launch successful careers in sustainability. After tonight's panel discussion, there will be time for a Q&A, so please take notes along the way and any questions you want to ask them. And tonight's panel is called International Careers. It will be moderated by Professor Dong Guo. Professor Guo is a professor in the professional practice of sustainability management at Columbia University. He currently teaches 4 classes, one at the School of International Public Affairs. The class is called Microeconomics and Policy Analysis. 3 other classes he teaches are for the Sustainability Management program at the School of Professional Studies. Those classes are Sustainable Cities, Climate Risk and Scenario Analysis, Sustainability Metrics, Data Construction and Use. Professor Guo is also the Associate Director of the Research Program on Sustainability Policy and Management at Columbia's Climate School. Professor Guo has also led research on the evaluation of urban sustainability, especially for Chinese cities, and co-edited the annual evaluation report of sustainable development of China since 2018. This evening, joining Professor Guo, we have 5 alumni from the MS in Sustainability Management program. Megha Mehdiratta, Senior Innovation Associate at the New York Climate Exchange. To her left is Yuanhe Zhu, or Vivian Zhu. She is a senior specialist sustainability reporting at Porter Airlines, a Canadian regional airline company. And then to her left, we have Murun Jargal, senior energy data analyst at Altus Power Inc. And then joining us virtually, we have Akshay Malhotra, associate director, methanol and directives at S&P Global, and Valentina Muñoz Venezian. She is PepsiCo's Latin America Sustainability Strategy Manager. Please join me in welcoming our panelists for tonight.
Oh, thank you so much, Cindy, for the introduction. Welcome. Today, we're going to conduct a panel on international careers. You can see our panelists are really global, right? Yuanhe or Vivian traveled all the way from Toronto. I have 2 panelists. One, I think, is based in Mexico. Akshay, I think, is based in Houston, right?
That's yes.
Yeah, and Murun originally is from Mongolia, but she works in Connecticut, Stamford, Connecticut. Megha is from India, I believe. But Megha has been here in the city, finished her master's in SUMA, and then now work at the climate exchange. So I'm gonna ask them some questions, and we're gonna have some time at the end for you to ask them some questions as well. As you know, the series is about asking our alumni who now have graduated from the program, who went through the program, have a better understanding of what the courses within the program that really useful for their careers. So that's really the point of discussion here. First we'll start with Murun here. I'll let you expand a little bit on your background. Obviously, when you graduate from Columbia University, and what's your current role and what path brought you, to your current position. Feel free to also introduce your company a little bit if some of our students here are not really familiar with the companies. So Murun will start, and then we can go this way, and then we'll ask the panelists online to talk about their career path as well.
Okay, sounds good. Can everyone hear me? Oh, okay, great. Hi everyone, my name is Murun. I finished the SUMA program December 2024, and I walked in May. I currently am an analyst on our technical asset management team at Altus Power. Altus Power is the largest commercial and industrial solar company in the US. Commercial solar is usually around 5 megawatts to 10 megawatts. I don't know if anyone's an energy enthusiast here who knows what I'm talking about, but so those are kind of the systems that we own and operate. one part of my role there is to help manage contracts and help implement any SaaS solutions at the company for performance enhancement of our solar assets. It requires, a bit of my past life, which was working as a data scientist at Ernst & Young. I was a consultant at their at their intelligent automation and artificial intelligence division, where I was very much like coding day in, day out, a very, technical role. And then I decided that I don't want to do that anymore, and would like to work in renewable energy specifically, which is why I came to the program. I tried to pivot my career without this program into clean energy, but it was unsuccessful. And so, I really wanted the academic background to kind of prove that I was serious about clean energy, honestly, to employers. And while I was at SUMA, I took a lot of clean energy focused courses, and now I really love what I do, which is partly why I agreed to come here and tell you that I don't have the Sunday scaries anymore. I don't know if you guys have worked before and have gotten Sunday scaries where, it's almost Monday and you like tremble with fear. I don't have that anymore, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, and I don't think I'm talking, should I go into the courses or we should go? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, that's it for me.
We have all of your bios here, but rather than me reading them, I think it's better that you introduce yourself a little bit and go a little bit deeper into your companies and your roles in those organizations. Vivian?
Okay, thank you. My name is Vivian. I traveled from Toronto to be here today. And I think that can already speak how SUMA programs impact on me and my career has been. So right now I'm working at Porter Airlines as the Senior Sustainability Specialist, mainly working on the sustainability reporting of our company, as well as managing some of the initiatives with external stakeholders, with our clients, and with the government as well. So should I also talk about my career path? Okay. Yeah. So before SUMA, so I actually took an undergrad studies in Bachelor of Commerce at University of Toronto, and after that, I directly come to the SUMA program. So unlike Murun, who knows exactly which courses or which path she wants to choose, I came to SUMA program with a very fresh mind. To be honest, I didn't really know what to expect coming to the program. But after 1.5 years here, I find myself really enjoy the sustainability world. So I took some of the internship through EDF, which is the Environmental Defense Fund. So I had a chance to work at Under Armour in their environmental sustainability team and building their GHG inventory for the first time. And after that whole fellowship, and after graduating, I joined EcoVadis, which is a sustainability rating agency, helping companies to assess their supply chain. So after 4 years there, I landed to my current job.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Hi, everyone. My name is Megha. I'm a senior innovation associate at the New York Climate Exchange. The New York Climate Exchange is a new nonprofit that works to accelerate climate solutions in New York and beyond. Before going into my career, I can just share with you, I came to SUMA and graduated in December of 2022 and walked in 2023. And my focus during my coursework here was in sustainable finance. So now coming back to my career, I was born and raised in India and moved to the US to do my undergrad. So I graduated from Berkeley with a degree in political economy and moved back to India. So I had several years of working in India in investment facilitation. and also had an entrepreneurial sprint. So started my own business, worked in a few climate-related startups, was realizing that the work that I had done was kind of scattered. You know, I touched upon investment facilitation. I was working to accelerate investments coming into India, kind of like a consultant for these investors in energy projects, in infrastructure projects. Then I decided to do all these startup sprints, which were amazing, but also a complete tangent from my initial work. Throughout my experience here, I was getting a lot of exposure in sustainability and climate, but I realized that I didn't have a deep understanding of it, and which is why I pursued my master's. After my master's, I worked for 2 years at a climate advisory firm called Pollination. At Pollination, I was working with financial institutions to help them on their transition plans, working on their impact frameworks, working with impact funds themselves, scoping out climate tech for them. And last year, during Climate Week, I came across the New York Climate Exchange. My role here is focused on building tech programming. And why I like to share my previous experiences, it feels like the 3 pieces of experience that I had magically come in and intersect here at my current role, which is building programming for tech, but also bringing in that climate finance experience, and also using my startup entrepreneurial experience because I'm working so closely with early stage founders. So very grateful to SUMA to bring in that climate finance perspective, and almost like a layered cake, you know, the cherry on top is the network that I built here. So really appreciative of that.
Next, and then Akshay.
Thank you, Professor Goa, for this, for inviting me and for the opportunity to be here amongst all of you. Good evening. I'm Akshay Malhotra. I am the Associate Director for Methanol and Derivatives, the analytics team here at S&P Global. I graduated in December of 2024. I have about 12 years of experience in the energy sector in JP Morgan and also in Deloitte. I'm a mechanical engineer. My undergrad was from India. I also did my MBA from the Indian School of Business. And after 12 years of working in operational and commercial roles, I used to be a commodity trader, physical commodity trader. So I was actually moving raw materials, like chemicals, coal from one country to another. Basically I was associated with the hard to abate sector. We are associated with shipping, with cement, with aluminum, steel. And I was actually recommended this program by one of the biggest British mining companies, which has a global presence called Rio Tinto, and also from the Tata Group. And I found the SUMA program to be, a one-stop shop for any energy professional who wants to pivot towards renewable energy. I took a lot of energy-related courses in the year. I was also working on a lot of research projects, including with Professor Guo. We worked on the China Sustainable Indicator project report. I was fortunate to work with him. I also worked with the Columbia Center of Sustainable Investments. We published a paper on critical minerals, which was also presented at the COP. So my journey for SUMA, the reason for pursuing another master's was to have the guidance from a very esteemed professor group, like someone who's actually working on projects on the field. So my endeavor was to shadow them, work in research projects with them, and at the same time equip myself with theoretical knowledge, because I had never heard of, the concepts of GHG emissions. I didn't know anything about solar power development. And then coming from a hard to abate background, in order to pivot, these courses were really essential in building the foundation. In my current role, apart from conventional methanol, we also do low carbon methanol projects, which are derived either from biomass gasification, from green hydrogen, and then we track these projects all over the world. And when we talk about green hydrogen, these are primarily fueled by solar and wind. So all the theoretical knowledge, that I learned during the program, I'm trying my best to implement most of those concepts in my job as well. But very happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I'm so happy to be here tonight. Good to see you again, Akshay. I'm Valentina. I'm originally from Chile and now living in Mexico. I'm leading the sustainability strategy for the beverage business in Latin America for Pepsi. As you know, we have a beverages portion of the business and also a food portion of the business, which is very large. And a little bit about my background. I studied business actually for 5 years, and then I did a master's in marketing. And after 5 years in the beginning of my career in sales, marketing, and e-commerce, I realized that I needed to shift into sustainability. So I looked for programs that were management oriented, but also would give me a good grasp of all the tools that I needed to become a sustainability professional at a CPG company. So I asked for a year off at Pepsi, and they gave me the year off. I went to do SUMA, and then I came back and I took this amazing new role that works on subjects as the circular economy, water stewardship, and also decarbonization. And during my time at SUMA, I think it was one of the best years of my life. Definitely the busiest as well, but it's because we just love what we do. I was the president of SUMASA. We hosted the symposium as well, then passed it on to Akshay. So really excited and for all that you did that semester, that entire year actually. I graduated August 2023 and been in Mexico for a year and a half. So thanks again for having us, and it's so good to see so much women representation here.
Much for those introductions. Obviously you can see we have a really international panel here. I don't know if you know the numbers, about 50% of our students, come from outside of the US, right? Some of them go back to their home countries to work, or some, work here in the US, some in international organizations. I know there's some, pushback from a federal level on some sustainability or environmental related policies. So it's not probably, there's a lot of anxieties in our students, where are they going to find jobs here? But globally, the field is still growing in many parts of the world, especially in developing countries. There's lots of green initiatives, sustainability initiatives. The green sector is expanding still rapidly. So there's a lot of opportunities in those places as well. Even for our domestic students, right, who are pursuing international opportunities. So I'm really happy to be here talking to our international alumni representatives who can talk about their experiences and what helped them in terms of the SUMA courses they've taken, for them to get to where they are today. So I asked them, specific questions about the courses they've taken, what courses they think are useful. I guess I'll start again with Murun here. Like in your line of work, in the solar energy sector, for example, what sort of skills do you think are important? And related to that, obviously, if you can remember, I think, yourself sort of, graduated more recently. If you can remember some of the courses that you took, you think are useful for your career, and why?
Yeah, so I didn't know that I was going to work in solar when I first started SUMA. It happened that I got an internship at this company and discovered that I really want to work in solar. I would have been happy working for any renewable energy company. So after the summer I did the internship, I took solar project development. So this was kind of like backwards, where I discovered I liked the industry and then I took a course relating to that. So I took solar project development with Professor Dan Griffin. I actually, it starts with a G, but I'll butcher it, so I won't try to pronounce that. But it was an excellent class. Actually, I was my TA, so great class. Learned a lot. That was really on the development side of things, right? So it's like from the ground up, right? How do we get land? How do we get a building roof to agree to build solar? And what are the financials look like, right? So it was wonderful. And then you learn about, specific solar regulations operations, recs, right, PPAs, all of that in that class. And so I currently work on the operations and maintenance side of things as an asset manager, but on the asset management team. But that kind of foundation of, just development and market exposure was really great and helped me give the kind of, get even the vocabulary and language around, how these people in this industry speak, which I didn't have before. And then kind of, maybe on a broader sense, I took finance and clean energy economy my first semester and had no idea what I was getting myself into. But I just took it again because I knew I wanted to work in clean energy, and I saw clean energy, I think, in the name, and then discovered that's decided that that's what I want to do with Professor Leslie Rich, who was incredible. And there I really was, put through the ringer, I think, and it was particularly hard for me because I didn't have any finance background. And Professor Rich was, she'd been in banking her entire career, so she was, very knowledgeable about that, and I was able to learn a lot from her. And that one was great because that wasn't solar specific; it was just general clean energy. So, we did wind, geothermal, even some biomethane modeling there. So those are maybe the two classes that I would say has helped me the most for my career.
Or if I shared when I graduated, but I graduated in December 2019. So it's been a while. And when I was preparing for this panel, I checked my course audit and then cross-referencing the courses that are still here. So I think two courses came to mind. One is the cost-benefit analysis. That course brought, because I came from a business background, and I chose sustainability because I was interested in marketing and branding. So before that course, I didn't know that we can attach any quantitative value or monetary value to sustainability costs and benefits from any project or initiative that you're proposing. So I think that course really allows me to learn how to use this tool. And it's definitely a really useful and helpful tool for decision making. And I also did, during that course, I did a project on, I think, artificial fur versus real fur. And that project also got me into the internship with Under Armour. So I think that course is really helpful and definitely shaped my career path. Another course is the GHG emissions mitigation strategy. I forgot the full name, but yeah, it's with John Dickinson. And I think that course is also very practical because it offers technical skills on how you can account for GHG emissions. But I'm sure now we have a lot of software and platform that does it for you. But I think it's still very useful and helpful to learn, to know the behind things, so the actual calculation, the mechanisms, in order to use those software and in order to talk with your senior leadership. So that course is also very important in shaping my interest in decarbonization and corporate sustainability.
The few courses that came to my mind as I was reflecting about my program here was Impact Finance by Bhakti Meerchandani. It's an online course and it goes over basic fundamentals of finance, but specifically how to apply that in impact situations. There's a lot of homework, which is a steep learning curve for me, but I felt like that's why I came to do the master's, and it was really valuable because whether it was like a DCF or like the basics of finance, which I had a moderate understanding of, I also deepened that, but also got to apply that to sustainability or impact use cases. I also really liked that course because Bhakti would bring in her experience at Trinity Church, Wall Street, and share what she used to do there, and also bring in a lot of experts from other areas that were basically her friends, her really cool, badass friends, and get them to share what they're doing in their workspaces. I also took the CBA, and I thought that was really useful for a similar reason that it felt like Professor Bose was able to really give us use cases. I'd studied economics in my undergrad, and it was similar to that, but it was going deeper into accounting for what sustainability costs and benefits are. So I really liked that course. My goal for coming to the program was twofold. One was to deepen my knowledge in sustainable finance, but also to keep an eye out for climate tech. So either working in startups or working in a space that, could be an incubator or a VC in climate tech. So at the back of my mind, beyond like climate finance, what I was also keeping in mind was how can I deepen my understanding in the tech portion of it? So I also took a lot of energy courses. I took energy efficiency by Tom Sahagian, which was very technical, and I also took energy markets by Travis B, which was also really helpful for me to get a good understanding of the energy ecosystem. And I feel like I apply these energy courses as I look at energy tech in urban resilience programming that I built at the New York Climate Exchange. So those are my long list of favorite courses.
Thank you, Megha. I'll try to cover some courses which are not already covered. So one of my favorite courses was Business and Climate Change Law Policy Practice by Paul Barker and Brooke Yuanhe. They touched upon the various facets of not only business, but the law. And they got keynote speakers, from the industry, consulting companies, private equity players, lawyers, even people from climate startups. So we got first-hand business case study exposure, on some of the key events happening currently. The second one was I try to take one academic, like purely hardcore academic course every semester. So one of them, one of my favorites was Sustainable Water by Professor Hyung Nguyen. He's now moved on to University of Illinois, but I also got an opportunity to be his research associate over summer, and I was working out of the Lamont facility up in New Jersey. And like Murun mentioned earlier, I was also a student and a TA for solar project development by Professor Daniel Giuffreda. I know that name well because I've TA'd for him for about 3 semesters. And I can assure you, Murun was one of the most meticulous students, asking the most number of queries, and I'm so happy to see that, she's now doing exactly what she learned in class. So hats off to you, Murun. So yeah, these 3 were my favorite courses. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll try to not repeat myself as well. So as I mentioned before, it was very important for me to learn the sustainability topics that would help me as a sustainability manager in a company that makes products, physical products. So just like Akshay said, I also was a TA. I was a TA for circular economy with Danielle Azoulay. Learned a lot about circular economy, and I think it's been very useful for my job at the moment. I also really, not sure if enjoyed, but it was daunting, the LCA class. To be able to say that you have done a portion or a large portion of an LCA when you work in this space is something that not many people have done. So I think having that hands-on experience in LCA was crucial for the job that I got. I did that with Christoph Weindenken. And my favorite one was Sustainable Operations with Vance Marola. I thought he was very practical in his approach. He gave us tools that I would use further in the job. And also the people that he invited to the sessions for the second part of the class every 2 weeks were real life sustainability professionals working on what I wanted to work in the future. So those are my top picks.
The surprise here is no one thought my course was useful. Glad to know that. Jokes aside, from what I heard, obviously, there's a lot of, picking for technical classes, right? Energy efficiency ones, even the finance courses, they tend to be more technical. LCA, circular economy, Akshay identified a policy class, but I think that was it, right? And most of the other classes, I from what I heard, is they're probably more technical than others. Obviously, the field of sustainability is changing. It's constantly evolving and growing as well. In SUMA, we try to adapt to that environment, that changing environment. So we change our curriculum. Some of the courses that become obsolete, obviously, we remove them from the curriculum, from the course listings. We constantly add new ones, right? Satyajit and I, Professor Bose, and I co-designed this course on climate risk and scenario analysis. We've been teaching that for the last 2 years. I don't know if you looked at the current course listing closely enough. Are there courses you think are becoming more useful but wasn't available when you were at at SUMA, when you were in the program maybe a few years ago? I don't know if you remember all of the courses. You had time to check the current listings, but I guess I wouldn't go one by one here, but whoever wants to go first, or whoever has some ideas on the courses they thought were not available back then but are available now, maybe like to share that with our current students.
Yeah, sure. I can go first. I think the one that I wish was available when I was a student, which wasn't, was AI and BESS for the modern grid, right? So this was artificial intelligence for battery energy storage systems, right? I think I would have loved to take that class. I think that's a very hot topic right now, especially as, I think the energy sector matures and I think it's become very clear that it's just as much of a software, problem to solve than a hardware problem, right? So when it comes to, batteries and just other, I come from the solar world, so photovoltaic energy, there's a lot of software opportunities there. And I would have loved to take that class. There is not a day or week that goes by where my company isn't considering AI or BESS when it comes to the grid and transmission and development.
So I've noticed there's a lot more sustainable finance courses and climate risk courses that have come up. At my work at Pollination, when we were working with banks and asset managers to help them on their transition plans, or helping them move towards cleaner portfolios, I feel like a lot of this information would have been really helpful. When I was at the job at Pollination, my understanding of asset classes was very minimal, and how different asset classes, whether it's private credit or public markets, would deal with sustainable finance and deal with the net zero targets that they were given was very limited. And I feel like I've looked over some of the syllabi in some of the courses that are now focused on sustainable finance. I'm forgetting the names of it, but I know there's a larger gamut of courses. I feel like that would have been really useful for me. That being said, I did learn a lot on the job, and I feel like there's a lot of complementary skills that the program offers in parallel to the workforce. So that's one. And then I know there's a new course on climate tech, which is very relevant to the work that I'm doing right now. In climate tech, again, it's about commercializing technology, and there's different stages of startups. So starting from early stage innovations that are at a technology readiness level of 4 or 5, going on to, market ready implementation solutions. Throughout all of these, you're dealing with different industries, because climate touches upon energy, it touches upon building decarbonization, it touches upon material science. So I would have loved to take that course and get, just an overview of how climate tech is infiltrating each industry, and how to see the investment side of that as well. What are the investors out there? There's investors like Breakthrough Energy, and what are the solutions from a commercial point of view that they're looking to build. And I think the climate tech course offers some of that in their syllabus as well.
Thank you, Megha. Is Valentina back on?
Yep, is it working?
Yes.
Yeah, it's working now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so one class that I would love to have taken was climate change and sustainable water. I took one only on the science of climate change, Earth's climate systems, and learned a little bit about water, but I didn't realize how big of a portion it would be in my job to work on water. So companies like PepsiCo, like Heineken, like even Microsoft, Amazon have a huge water impact, and to have learned what solutions I could bring to the table to achieve these water positive goals that they have set would have been amazing. So that's one of the classes that I would have loved to take. And also one on agriculture. I saw there's much more on agriculture at the moment. So I actually cross-registered to one in SIPA on universal food security, which was really interesting because it talked about smallholder farmers, their approach on regenerative agriculture, and I think that's where the changes need to be done. So I'm glad to see that on the SUMA course listings.
Thank you.
Great.
I'll also like to pitch in, Professor Go. One course was, I think, carbon markets, which came after I graduated. But the genesis of that course was founded during our time, where some of the students were actually trying to formulate a curriculum around carbon markets, and then pitch it to our professors. And I'm so glad to see that course now part of the curriculum coming from the carbon sector. I would have loved to I would have taken that course as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to share when I'm looking at the current course list, two courses pop into my eye. One is the climate risks and scenario analysis.
Thank you.
That is very important, especially for my current role as an in-house sustainability specialist at an airline company, where we operate at airports. In Toronto, there's an island airport where climate risk is a hot topic there. And especially now we have been growing and expanding. We're operating in many different airports. So this course was offered when I was there in 2019. Another course is, I forgot the full name, but it's called Critical ESG Opposition, something like that. But when I looked into the description, I think it's more like an close discussion with a group of students on how, like, maybe it's a role play, like one person like the opposite side of ESG and the other group like trying to so I think it's a debate, and I think this course will be pretty helpful if you're looking for a job in corporate sustainability world, because not everyone speaks sustainability language there, and not everyone buys into this concept. So it's a very useful experience. I think even an experience or skills to take this course will allow a lot of sustainability professional to know there's other side of perspectives. Yeah.
Great. Thank you all. I guess, the next question is, are there any courses that are not currently offered you think would be useful for your jobs or, further advance your careers in sustainability? Anything that's not on the curriculum that you thought might be useful moving forward? Anyone?
I can go first here. Professor, I think there is a lot of discussions around critical minerals and the value chain globally. So a course on sustainable commodities, because it has a downward impact on various sectors. I think that would be very useful. It can be limited to a few minerals, because I actually worked I was interning with CCSI, and we published a paper on the midstream and downstream technologies in the critical mineral value chain. And I would love to see a similar program being offered at SUMA.
Great, thank you. Any other suggestions from our panelists?
I mean, I'll selfishly say anything kind of on the O&M side for renewable energy, right? I think it's a much different beast than development. I think the solar project development class was great in giving that foundation, but anything around maximizing performance and production of renewable energy projects is interesting. would have been interesting. So.
No?
On my side, I think a deeper dive on systems thinking and value chain mapping would have been interesting. I've realized that when you work with physical products, supply chains become a very challenging thing to approach, especially when it's an informal market that it has not really been mapped. And what I'm saying is like plastic value chains of post-consumer plastic are not mapped around the world, and there aren't many policies in place, specifically in the global south. So I think learning a little bit more on how to map those and understand where the opportunities are to actually help the country and the people working in this informal sector would have been great. And also because my role is mainly strategy, I think strategy class like pure strategy would have been amazing.
Great. So, just following on from that, I guess, do you have a strategic curriculum advice that would offer to current SUMA students, who are interested in international career, right? Sort of Valentina spoke to that a little bit. Be it working in an international organization here or abroad, does the skill set we try to build here, does that, translate to another market? Any advice on that? Like what sort of skills they would need to be able to work in an international organization or another market outside of the US?
It's because I'm outside of the US, and then I'll pass it on to Vivian. I think SUMA gives us opens our world. So most of my friends are from now all around the world after doing SUMA. And I think getting to have that experience has broadened my perspective on just different cultural differences, language differences. Even in Latin America, we, the Chileans, are thought as like the Nordics of Latin America. So we're a little bit less warm than the rest. So I think just staying humble, listening, understanding these cultural differences is something that SUMA prepares you a lot to when you travel to another market, when you live in another market. So my scope is Latin America, and I've been this year to Brazil, to Chile, to Guatemala, Costa Rica, Mexico, and I don't want to tell my travel schedule, but I've been to all these countries and they're all so different. And working with these is also very different as well. So I think SUMA prepares you quite a lot to engage with different markets. And the power of our networking is amazing. Anything that I would need in my job, any idea or any consultant or whatever you would need, I tap into a SUMA group and something amazing comes out. I see your face, Akshay. And something amazing comes out. So that's something I really appreciate to bring to the job.
Anyone else?
The fact that I think the network piece that SUMA offers and Columbia University offers is ultra valuable. I'll add a different perspective on it, which is while I was in the program, what I found super helpful was, again, like the guest speakers who were coming in, the lecturers themselves who would, most of them are adjunct professors that have day jobs as well. So they would like really open doors to their ecosystems. That has really helped me launch both my career, but also my network in New York City. And because I'm local right now and most of my work is in New York City, it's incredible to see. Of course, I think the alumni network has been the best in terms of both creating amazing friendships, but also some of the faculty members that I've still been able to be in touch with. One or two things that I kept in mind to kind of strengthen this, which was to look beyond just the student network was to engage in courses like the Innovative Practicum, which, some people feel like, I know this is a bit of a hot take, but some people feel like it's not the most valuable course because it's not that technical. But my take is that I got to meet, 12 different experts from different industries. And out of that, I became really close to 6. And I took that extra effort to doing that. And those have been the connections that have really helped me with my job search and, going to events in New York City, because those are the people who end up coming to these events. So again, doubling down on the fact that the peer-to-peer network is incredible, but also the faculty network is something that I think is very unique to this program, because there's a willingness to open that network up.
Great, thank you.
I echo what Megha and everyone else has said. Joining SUMA and studying at Columbia and living at New York City, you are exposing to a lot of opportunities, a lot of great network and professionals. And sometimes the connection that you make here can help you in the future during your job search. Aside from the curriculum, I think another great resources is the EDF, because I was part of the Environmental Defense Fund. Basically, they collaborate with, I think, both public and private companies, and also the public sector, and they match the applicants with and areas of interest of yours. So for example, when I applied, I put fashion and apparel as one of my interest areas, so they were able to match me with Under Armour. So this whole process assign you to the company, and you can do fellowship or internship there for 3 to 6 months, and it really helps you to have gain hands-on experience and also build the network within that industry or the sector that you're interested in. And the EDF also has a great network as well. A lot of my friends and connections still are very active in the EDF network and the group chat. And even now I'm based in Toronto, I still fly to New York to meet with my former EDF fellows. So I think there's a lot of internship opportunities, guest speakers, and a lot of exciting things happening in New York City. And that also helps you if you're looking at careers in an international context.
Very good. I would also like to add a point here and sort of completely aligned with what Valentina said earlier. I think in a truly international program like the SUMA, where you can make friends from all over the world, it is also very important to engage in all the activities that take place, across student clubs, across Climate Week, which is a very big event in New York. Valentina, as part of the student association, was instrumental in organizing a lot of events, not only within the campus but also outside. It's a very good platform for networking. And one thing all of us must realize, that, I mean, as our alumni network grows, most of us will be in very key decision-making roles all over the world. And then when we've worked with some of our friends in courses, you might want to work with them on a professional level as well. There are very good examples of startups that have come out of a SUMA classroom, Wallpost being one of them. So if you are interested in being part of a key decision-making role in some point of your life, it's very important to engage in all these networking activities within the program and also within the city. I would highly recommend that.
Great. I'll ask one more question, then we'll open up to the audience here. I guess, I always think about this myself. The current US policies, obviously it's not very favorable to the sustainability field in general. How does that impact our industries, right? And even some of the immigration policies, right? H-1Bs and things like that. I guess, how do you navigate some of the obstacles, right? What advice, if any, you have for our students currently navigating the job search process, right? Are the job search still increasing in the sustainability field, or are they shrinking a little bit? How do we, what sort of things we can do to overcome, some of that obstacles?
Yeah, so I think yeah, well, for the policies and all the things that are going on, I think it's important to remember and distinguish what you can control versus what you can't control. What you can control are your own actions, and the way you interact with people, the way you show up. You show up on time, you show up prepared, right? And then there's a lot of the things that you can't control, right? Which I do try to follow, but I try not to dwell in it too much, just because there's really not much I can do, right? Apart from stay informed. I think a good rule that I try to really instill in myself is really to take every opportunity that I can, right? I think and that's every interaction with anyone I meet, right? I think I try to remain open, I try to learn, I try to stay engaged, I try to, again, show up on time and show up prepared. Yeah, I think, but specifically for the clean energy field, I've kind of rebranded myself into just working in the energy field, which is true. And I think, although, policies and things like that have changed and it has been rather tumultuous, energy demand is still going to go up, and an electron is an electron. So that's been pretty, comforting for me, I guess.
Speak about the New York Climate Exchange, which obviously has climate in its name, and that's a hard one to navigate and deal with during this ecosystem where certain words have been blacklisted in funding ecosystems, and certain philanthropic capital is diverting its attention from this space. It's definitely been challenging from that point of view, but like we were talking about, it's about, the challenge still exists. It's about kind of rebranding, or it's about switching the focus. In our case, we've switched it to urban resilience, which is, again, another key term that people are switching over in climate finance instead of calling it specifically climate mitigation. I mean, that's its own stream in itself, but also like rebranding it to showcase and highlight the need for cities and how, from a business and an economic point of view, all these solutions are still very relevant. That's been one, I'd say, like change that we've made, and obviously still standing by the name of New York Climate Exchange. We had a lot of events during New York Climate Week, and one thing I'd like to add is that in New York City specifically, the momentum is not stopping. We are city funded and state funded, and it's really heartwarming to see that support still continuing. It's at this moment when there are federal headwinds that at the grassroots level, people do stand up and take change. And again, like we're talking about here, energy is still important. Energy is still a critical area for decarbonization. So it would not make business or economic sense to divert funds from that space. That's the first part of your question. To talk more about immigration policy specifically, I think that's a topic that everyone deals with in their own way, and everyone has their own, I guess, circumstances to navigate that. I think it's important, as I know the SUMA is a STEM program, to maximize that as long as we can, and then also to keep in mind that the future is really uncertain, so to ensure that there's enough, I'd say, safeguarding and backups. And that's all very easy to say. I'm not saying the situation becomes easier just by, having backups. It's definitely a very challenging time. So the way that I've been supporting a lot of peers who've definitely been affected by the job market during this time is to just try to, share my network as much as possible and share as much advice as I can. And I feel like the climate and the, nature ecosystem, SUMA is a great example of that. It has always been so collaborative. So again, I'm leaning back into that network. People are willing to help. And whether it's jobs in the United States or outside, I feel like I'm optimistic that people will be able to help you get the right opportunities, especially from a job point of view.
Thanks, Megha. I'd like to pitch in again. Look, I think as students, we need to carve a niche for ourselves, no matter which sector we are working in. I mean, the classic example is this panel, right? We have someone from Mongolia working in solar in the US. We have Vivian working in Canada. Valentina, who's from Chile, she's in Mexico. Me and Megha were originally from India. I mean, we are in the US, right? So uh, the policy today may not be the policy tomorrow. And if you feel a policy is closing doors for you, it will likely open new doors. A classic example is even it's part of the One Big Beautiful Bill. It has opened up new opportunities for nuclear energy, for critical minerals. And for some of those who are aware and in the room today, some of our students have, they founded a nuclear energy club within SUMA. It's called NICE, and they're working in the sector, right? So carve a niche for yourself. Not all doors will be closed. There'll be new doors opening up for you, and please be flexible in terms of where those opportunities are, right? So if it entails you to move, to a different country, if it entails you to go back to your home country, you should mentally prepare yourself for that. But the program equips you with all the skills. It teaches you the basic fundamentals, which are applicable in any country. The basic foundations are still the same.
Thanks, Akshay. Because I moved away, it was something that I always considered when I joined SUMA. Wherever I would find a job that I actually loved, I would go. So I was in a process in the Netherlands, in Mexico, also one in the US, and I actually like this one a lot. So they asked me if I wanted to move to Mexico or Colombia, and I said Mexico. And it feels like New York, but in a Latin way. So it's a good mix. And policy wise, I won't go into that. It's just very difficult. And another thing that I think is very important for the job search is that, especially if you're shifting careers, I came from 100% business to 100% sustainability focus. I learned that somebody was going to value how much I knew about the business whilst going to sustainability. So in my current role, they like that I think more holistically, that I think as a GM that has a P&L, and sustainability is something that they have to make it fit into their P&L. So when you are looking for a job, I think it's very important to add what you already know plus what you learned at SUMA to make the best of both worlds.
That Valentina exactly said my point about combining what you already know with sustainability knowledge, because you never know like how your expertise and your skills and knowledge in different areas will help you to get your next career. And most of the time, businesses or employers, they would value the combination of skills and knowledge that you can bring to the table aside from sustainability. So really build your unique profile and skill set and sell that to the employer. I think that's very important. In terms of policy, I think Canada has some influence, but not as much. So welcome to Canada.
Well, thank you so much for the optimistic messages and great advices. Sometimes I talk about the policy scare, but then, I fear there may be domino effects in other places, right? But as our panelists have shared, there's, boundless opportunities, and things may change in the future, right? If we keep trying, keep working hard, it's all gonna work out. Any questions from the audience? I think it's time for questions. We have another 20 minutes for a few questions. Can you raise your hand and ask your questions?
It's been really, really interesting. I was wondering if you were applying to the jobs that you're currently in now, and I guess this applies more for the people who are working in the US. how would you argue for a company to hire you for your role, given the barriers that international students have?
Just a few minutes ago, I think like selling the STEM OPT is a good starting point. That's confirming to an employer that you have 3 years to give, and sometimes that suffices. It's not enough, but I think that makes a huge difference. The other part of it, which is a hack, essentially, is like a lot of times on LinkedIn they'll ask you like, do you require sponsorship? I don't fill in those forms. I like reach out to the people directly, because the second I fill in that form and I say I will require sponsorship in 3 years, my application is probably not even making it through AI. So I usually like do not even apply to those, and I reach out directly to the job poster, and I try to build a network or a connect with them directly to be like, hey, like I'm interested in this, do you want to chat? Because I've then bypassed that initial screening.
And I think beyond that, I think that's great advice, because I think a lot of applications are being filtered with AI now. But I think the other thing I would think through is think about the company, think about the team, and then think about what problem they might be facing, right? So it was serendipitous for me that this company and this position and this team had a lot of data issues, right? And so I really pitched myself as like my background in data and how I was able to provide solutions for that. So ultimately any job or any position, you're there to solve a problem, right? So you have to really make it very clear what problem you're solving. And I think that really has people a little bit more engaged in interviews from my experience.
From my experience working in the US for a few years, I think one should take a very proactive approach, rather than just waiting for the job season on applications and then just looking up, a profile and then applying. Please start working on what kind of role you're interested in. Try to attend events where you see these hiring managers are participating. Climate Week is a perfect example. And when you have a conversation with them or a coffee chat with them, some of you will leave a difference, and then they will recollect you when you put in that application. So knowing the team, just reciprocating what Murun and Megha said, knowing the team, knowing the hiring manager, but on top of that, being a bit proactive right from day one, rather than just waiting for the job season, I think would take you a long way.
That my first job out of SUMA was at Pollination, and that was a direct referral from Michael Gerard, who was from the law school, and I just took his course, and he connected me to someone at Pollination, and that was my in. Like if I'd gone down the application route, I'm sure that the international student thing would have been flagged. So I think that's definitely like a better route to take, especially with the current policies in place.
Sorry, I'll just echo that. I also, a SUMA alum referred me to my current position. So they referred me to the internship, and then I got the full-time offer, and then I ended up loving it and staying. So, I mean, I think I think it speaks volumes that a lot of our jobs were obtained through like referrals and interacting with people rather than, yeah.
Use mic so they can hear it online.
This is quite a specific question, but the alumni that connected to you, was that through networking? Was that through an event, or did you reach out personally to them?
Yeah, actually, so back to, like my take every opportunity, which was I got like an email from the climate school for their mentorship program one day. I think you guys, I checked on that. They're still running the program, and right? Yeah. Great program, obviously. I'm a big fan. But I got matched with a mentor who also used to work in consulting, which, at that time I thought I was going to work in consulting again after I finished. But then, our first meeting with this mentor, who was also a SUMA alum, asked me why I wanted to connect with him, right? And I was very honest that I really want to utilize his network because I don't know anybody in New York. And literally the first person he referred me to was at this company, and then it just kind of went from there, right? So, as Maria was saying, you never know.
So I have a question that sort of builds upon Dominic's question earlier. So from my very preliminary research, I've seen that New York, particularly the East Coast, and the kind of employment opportunities it offers, has a lot to do with these advocacy roles, which have to do with in smaller and mid-sized firms. Just wanted to know, because I have a background in consulting and I hopefully will eventually pivot there. How do you break into the larger consulting roles? I mean, is there a defined way to approach that? Are there networks to hit there or something like that? If you have any guidance there. Thank you.
Pollination was a smaller advisory firm. So in the US, we had about 30 people, and worldwide, we were 100 people total. And I think that was my target market because climate is such a niche topic. But I am aware like the EYs and Deloittes and BCGs do have like really strong climate programs. They do follow some form of recruitment. I don't know if SUMA has like their recruitment plans with them or not, but I think for them, the strategy would be both bottom up and top down. So like keep applying to their associate roles. They often have rotational programs. So definitely apply to that. Sometimes that may feel slightly entry level, but I feel like if you do get into the entry level program, it's easy for you to make your way up in the career. And the second part, which is more bottom up, is again, what we've been saying for the last hour, which is build a network, find people in that space. I had a goal for one semester to have 100 coffee chats. I got close enough, but do those coffee chats, you know? And I think like someone on this panel was saying, like, don't start when it's time for job season, like start 9 months before, or like start basically like 3 months into your program. I don't know how many months you are into your program, but like start early, because sometimes, you know, you need to have like 3 drinks with someone over a course of like 2 months to actually build a connect. So I'd say take both those approaches, especially for the larger consulting firms. That being said, I think it's really cool to work at a smaller consulting firm as well, because you get a lot more responsibility and accountability.
I kind of feel like I'm monopolizing it, but just really quickly on my EY experience, I think that I worked there for not within the sustainability practice, so can't speak to it much, but I think a lot of it is very markets driven. I entered their AI and automation division when tech was booming. This was like 2019, 2020. So I think it was, for me, I think it was luck. But yeah.
One recommendation here is as international students, given the paucity of time, and we have to complete the program in 1 year, 3 months. Not a lot of us tend to engage or network a lot with our part-time friends, right? And most of them who are already working in consulting companies. And so if you are in a group together, you should bond well, with the part-time students who they usually take like two courses on average per semester. But you'll be surprised, the kind of profiles they're working at, and if you get along well, you work together well, they'll be happy to share opportunities with you. And if you're interested in big consulting companies like McKinsey, Bain, BCG, their application starts probably 1 year before. So just keep a lookout on their company website. But if you wake up late in August, then you've probably missed the next year's cycle as well. And I will also agree to what Megha said. There are a lot of boutique consulting companies as well. Some of them are sponsors for events that happen at the forum, and some of them also come for our SUMA career fairs as well. I can recollect Accountability is one of them, and they hire, I believe, a few SUMA students every year, either for internship or full-time roles. I know BCG was sponsoring the Brazil Climate Summit, which also happens during Climate Week. So please participate in all these events, where you'll come across the organizers who are consulting companies.
Everyone speaks about connecting, networking, and all. but no one really speaks about the strategy. How do you keep the bond intact? How do you make sure the person meets you again and all those things?
I have a very simple answer. SUMA organizes a meetup in arts and crafts every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Please be sure you're there, and then just bond with your friends there. It's a weekly tradition following for many years. On a very serious note, yes.
That's
PSA, it's
exciting.
changed to Thursday, as Cindy just said.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. Yeah, I wanted to add on that too. I feel like the best networking is when you have like genuine connections with people and it doesn't feel like a transactional conversation. So the best connections I have had have been people that I have met in events, but that I realized that we had a lot of things in common in just life. And I'm still friends with them until now. So that's how I believe that is like the most unique way of connecting with someone. And it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm like reaching out to you just to find a job. No, I really think that they can become your friends. And if an opportunity comes up, then it's there. And also, what Akshay said, to just connect, go to events, go everywhere. To be in New York is such a privilege when it comes to connecting. If we were in the middle of nowhere, then that would be really hard. So take advantage of being in New York.
Yeah, I think there's no real strategy for this. Again, I feel like a lot of it has to be organic, but a few things that if I reflect back, one is I used to always host a Diwali party. Happy Diwali to everyone, but that was always a great place to get different cultures to come together. And I think I made a great impression on people who are not from India as well. Of course, with a lot of my Indian colleagues too. So that's something that, just fresh off the mind because I had a party this weekend. But on a serious note, I think I mentioned the innovative practicum, and that felt very strategic to me. That felt like I had different people that I was meeting. I also TA'd that course for 2 years, so sometimes there were recurring people coming in. So as a result, I essentially met the same people like 3 times over because I took their class first, then I TA'd the same class and the same individuals came back. And that really allowed me to meet them 3 times without really pushing for it. After each one of those sessions, I would go to like either arts and craft or like somewhere else and like hang out with them because I was a TA and I had that opportunity. So I felt like that felt strategic to me because I was taking that course, I was teaching that course to build that network. So I think that could be a potential way to think about that. And then specifically for coffee chats, I feel like go with curiosity, not with a goal of finding a job. Because the second you go, I mean, people reach out to me very so often for a coffee chat, and I love doing the coffee chats. But the second, like, they come on and within like 10 seconds, they're like, I'm looking for jobs, my mind just closes down. Like, I want to share how I came to SUMA. I want to share how I went into climate finance and climate tech. So I think if you go with curiosity, A, people love to give advice, and B, people love to share their experience and learn from you as well. So I think going in with that mindset really opens the other person that you're speaking with.
I just want to add, your professors are also great resources. And I think it's also a resource or a source that is easy to maintain because you have to take their courses throughout the semester and you meet them every week. So maintaining that connection with your professors are also a useful way. Another source is the different programs and initiatives in this sustainability space. The EDF program that I mentioned, the Environmental Defense Fund program. There's another one with Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which is the Linear to Circular program. I was part of both. So during those programs, you were teamed up with different people across the world who are interested or who are working in this space. And I think that just happened naturally for you to maintain that connection and keep an eye on everyone's updates in terms of career shifts and job posts. So I think yeah, open to all of those different programs that you can find globally or in New York.
All right, we have time for last question.
It's on timeline basis. So we are on 3-semester program. And with a person who has not experience in American job market, would you have for each first and second and third semester, what would we expecting to do or avoid to do? That's too early for first semester. Don't push yourself too hard. This kind of advice.
Don't do your caps in the first semester. Let that be a time to just, mingle and get to know people. I took my sustainability management course then because that was a great place for me to just level set and see who's in my cohort. And that often builds the network for future cohorts. So definitely prioritize mingling and going to arts and craft or joining or applying to net impact or, these associations. So I think prioritize in semester one the network piece. And I think, yeah, don't let everything be for the last semester either, where you're job hunting and doing your capstone and doing GHG emissions and LCA together. That will really drain you and you won't be able to focus on job opportunities if that's a priority for you.
If I remember correctly, I think if you have 3 semesters, better to balance the technical courses and the more macro level strategy courses. Do not put all the technical courses in one semester. And also, if you have more time in the first 2 semesters, take as many courses as you want. And then what I did is I put capstone in my 3rd semester, but I was doing part-time student and part-time job at Under Armour. So I think that is also a very good combination because you're learning from your job at the same time, you're learning from capstone, and those two also feed into the job hunting process and engaging and coffee chatting and preparing for interviews.
The timeline that I would recommend is, so first semester, I actually signed up for a bunch of job boards because I didn't even know what was possible and what positions even existed in clean energy. For me, it was so new. So I signed up for women in energy. You don't have to be a woman to sign up. Anyone can sign up. They have, great newsletters, right? There's a few other ones. I mean, you can definitely look it up, right? But a lot of these will send weekly newsletters, and then you can kind of get a lay of the land and see who's hiring for what, and that'll give you a good idea of what's possible and what's kind of, where the market is. And then for me, I think I'm a little impatient. I started looking for the internship, I think January. So it must have been start of my spring semester. But by then I had a pretty good idea of what I was looking for. And then in terms of technical classes, non-technical classes, I mean, I think it just depends on what you like. For me, I think writing and a lot of classes that have a lot of writing, I find very cumbersome and very tiring. So I actually thought more of the technical classes were easier. So I, took all of them at once, and that felt nice for me.
I wouldn't recommend that for most. Valentina or Akshay, have anything to add?
Yeah. Can you hear me? I think the timeline depends a lot on. Yeah.
We can't hear you, Valentina.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Valentina.
Okay.
Oh, Akshay, can you say something?
Am I audible?
For both of you. Okay. If you guys could type in your response, because we're just about the end. Sorry about that. I think it's going to be hard to fix a audio issue at this point. Akshay said, don't take capstone in last semester, but also not your first semester.
Did anyone take their capstone in the first semester?
Can't. You can't.
Yeah, you can. Right. Okay. Invalid advice.
Timeline depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Thanks, you both.
Thank you. Well, thank you for staying with us. I know it's 9:30 already. Well, a big thank you to our panelists, for joining us, for coming back here to share your insights, your experiences, and great advice, for networking and, finding job opportunities and be successful. Big thank you for all of you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.